Good evening and welcome to We the People Prepping. This is Dan. You're all going to die. Yep. Question is when. Okay. Tonight we're going to talk about the viability of you actually surviving a SHTF situation as a prepper. Okay, we're going to talk about skill versus knowledge, application of knowledge to become skill, and long-term survivability. Okay, now to know how to do something is great. It is always good to have as much knowledge as possible. But knowledge without the ability to apply the knowledge to real world situations is useless. It's that simple. You can know how to start a fire with a bow drill, but unless you've actually done it and know that you can do it, then that knowledge is useless. You understand my point here? You can know what you're supposed to do to grow a garden, but unless you've actually gone out and grown a garden, that knowledge is useless. You have to be able to put your knowledge to use to turn it into skill. Okay, knowledge that has not been practiced, has not had real world experience is useless. To be book smart is useless. You need to be world smart as well. I have a brother, growing up, he was very intelligent. Okay, made honor roll every year, graduated top of his class. Okay, he had all of the knowledge, but he had absolutely no street smarts. He could survive in academia, but when he got in the real world, he had no freaking clue what was going on, and he had to learn life the hard way, and he did. And we were supposed to go into the Marine Corps together, but because of a car accident, I was denied entry into the Marine Corps because I had to have back surgery. But so he wound up going in by himself, and it was rough on him. And he made a lot of really bad choices in life, namely listening to the woman he married. But, that's a different story. Anyhow, what good does it do me to know that, how to field dress a deer or or what I need, where I need to make the cuts and everything on a bull or a pig in order to butcher it, unless I actually get in and do those things. I don't have the skill. I only have the knowledge. Now, I was brought up on farms a lot of my life. First time I ever killed and butchered processed a hog, I was about 7, 8 years old. First time I butchered it or killed and butchered a cow, I was 9, 10 years old. But I got hands-on experience from people that had been doing it their entire lives. They grew up doing it. My grandparents, they were from the Depression era. They taught me a lot of really important skills that you need to know in life. They didn't just give me the knowledge. They actually made me put that knowledge to work and turn it into a skill. Thanks to them, I know how to butcher and process my own meat. I know how to can my own vegetables. I know how to grow my own garden. Uh, I know how. Well, like my uncle, he was Vietnam and Korea, and he was Special Forces, and he taught me a lot about survivalism. He made me go out and actually put the knowledge to the test. I mean, we would go out with nothing really other than a knife and a canteen and a cup and just the basics. And we would go out in the woods, and he taught me how to forage, what plants are edible, what ones aren't, what vegetation to stay away from, how to track animals through the woods, how to read scat. Yes, that is a skill, believe it or not. You need to be able to identify the feces of the animal that, you need to be able to identify what species left that feces. That kind of rhymes, but, and you can determine how long it had been since they dropped that feces there, so you can tell how long ago it was that they were there. Just he taught me a lot of very valuable skills. He taught me how to build shelter from nothing. We didn't carry rope or nothing with us. We would chop limbs off of trees and cut down small trees, and we would make our own rope from smooth bark trees. You peel the bark off with your knife and try to keep it as much intact as possible. You take the bark, tie it off, tie 3 or 4 strands, however many together at one end. Then you braid it down, and you make your own little rope to lash the wood together. And then we would make the frame of the structure of the shelter, and then we would take branches that had leaves on them, put that over the top. Then we would actually take and go out and cut up sod, that had grass to it. We would cut the sod up and lay it on top of all of that as a roof and water shelter and everything. I mean, it was well insulated. You could start a fire at the opening of it, keep the entire thing warm and stay dry at the same time. He taught me a lot of valuable skills and made me put them to use so that I would know how to do them. And because of everything that I was taught in my life, he taught me how to trap and fish and all that kind of stuff. But because of the skills that I was taught, when I became homeless, I didn't have to resort to begging people for money. I didn't have to resort to robbing people or, turning to other people for help or anything. I went out into the woods. I set my own snare traps. I caught my own food, and I fed a lot of the other people that were homeless. And that brings up another good subject is, a lot of people think that they can survive an SHTF doing lone wolf. I give those people about 3 months max before they're dead. Okay? Because in reality, you need a support system. You need people that will have your back. You need to be able to have people that you can depend on. You're not going to be able to stay awake all the time. So you're going to need somebody to stand guard while you sleep and vice versa. Okay? You need people that you can trust and that will help you to survive. So the lone wolf mentality, it's not going to fly. I mean, unless you are extremely, extremely self-sufficient and you are already living a solitary lifestyle where you don't depend on anybody for anything, the lone wolf is a dead wolf. Uh, when I was homeless, I needed people to watch my back while I slept, and I needed to know that I could trust them to watch my back. And they needed to know that they could trust me to watch theirs. And, when I first became homeless for the first few months, I was outcast. People didn't really trust me. I earned their trust by helping them, by bringing them food, and, I know how to make my own activated charcoal, okay? And I know how to build my own water filter with that charcoal and gravel and sand. And so I can filter out water, and then I'll boil it just to make sure, that it's clean and, free of parasites and so forth. But those are handy skills, and I taught a lot of that to the people while I was homeless. I had nothing else to do. I'm homeless for over a year. I mean, come on, what else did I have to do? And the thing about being homeless, yes, it's horrible. It really is. I mean, you don't get to bathe like you want and shave and all that. You give up a lot of the creature comforts. But I will tell you this much. When I was homeless, I wasn't really stressed. It was the first time in my life, actually, that I didn't give a shit about nothing. I was kind of carefree. All I really needed to do was eat, sleep, and survive, So, I mean, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, But you're going to need people around. So, get you a group together. Form your own mag. People that you know, people that you trust, See, a lot of people think that they can survive an SHTF just by stacking food and water. Now, that's all good if, say you got a year, we'll be generous, say you got 2 years of food and water stored up, Here's a problem. What happens if it's a longer term SHTF? What if, it lasts 4 or 5 years? You're going to run out of food before the SHTF is over. So you need to learn other skills like animal husbandry, raise your own meat, learn how to butcher, learn how to garden, learn how to can your own fruits and vegetables, learn how to forage. And when I say learn how to do it, I don't just mean watch a video and think, okay, I've got it, or read a book and think, okay, I know how to do this. I'm talking about actually get hands-on experience. Go out and do it. That's the only way you're actually going to learn how to do it. Because you can think you know something, and then all of a sudden you go to try to do it, and it's not as easy as what you thought it was going to be. That's why I said, you have to put your knowledge to work. If you don't, the knowledge becomes useless. Here's another thing for you. If you are raising your own livestock, are you going to have the heart to kill any of it? Can you go out to your chicken coop, grab a chicken out of the coop, put it under your arm, and just pop its head off? Do you have that in you? Or to go out to your rabbit cage, grab a rabbit out of there by the nape of the neck, snap his neck. Are you going to be able to do that? You know, are you going to be able to take that hog that you've been raising, okay, put a bolt to his head and kill him, and then process him? A lot of people that raise animals, they become attached to them. When they're raising rabbits, they're raising chickens, whatever, they become attached to them. They start naming them. That can be a big mistake. Now, me, I got no problem. I can go out there, grab the chicken, pop its head off, gut it, take it in, dip it in boiling water, pluck it, have it cooked up for dinner. Okay? I can grab the rabbit, snap its neck, gut it, skin it, snip its paws off and its head off, tail, be ready to cook him up. It's nothing. It's a food source. Now would I want to kill my own pet? No. That's why I don't become attached to the animals that we raise. Now, like I said before in previous videos, I have a rather large mat. We do get together on every weekend, and it's a requirement that you be there at least one weekend out of the month to train with us. And a lot of us go out there and train every weekend, But we all have different skill sets. I am very good at security. I've worked as a security contractor in combat zones, so I'm very good at security. So I'm teaching people my skills. I teach them how to survey, how to spot threats, how to protect against threats, all that kind of stuff. Okay? We have a doctor that is teaching everybody triage. And those that want to learn, he's actually teaching them more than triage. He's teaching them actual skills besides just how to save your life. He's teaching what you would have to do to, say somebody lost their arm or whatever, or got shot, how to do the basics to save their lives and remove the bullet, or cauterize the wound, or whatever the case may be. But most of us are just doing basic triage, how to save a life until that person can get actual medical attention. We have nurses that teach all sorts of stuff like that as well. One of them's an actual ER nurse, so she's used to dealing with trauma, stabilizing people and all that. We have a couple of veterinarians. They're teaching us about livestock, animal husbandry, just the various things. We have farmers that are teaching how to, and we all cross-train. All of us are learning all the skills from each and every one. And we're putting these skills to actual use because we're testing them out as we're learning them. We work together really well. We get together on the weekends. We will cut and split firewood. We will plant. We will, breed animals. Whatever is needing to be done at the time. That's why you need people. Okay, you can't go it alone, especially if it's a long-term SHTF. Now, a lot of you haven't bothered. You'll watch the videos, you'll read the books, and think that you can do these things. But you've never gone out and put these skills to the test And that's why I say you're going to die. And I don't mean to be mean or nothing like that, but unless you actually go out and learn to do these things and put these skills to a test, you're going to die. And just stacking food and water isn't going to save you in a long-term event. Okay? If you've only got a year's worth of food and it lasts 2 years, you're fucked. If you don't know how to hunt, fish, farm, all these things, can your own foods, and then you have those that don't have an actual place to bug out to. So they're talking about, well, we'll just go to the woods. Well, there's going to be a lot of people going to the woods. So might get a little crowded out there. But besides that, a lot of these people have young kids, okay, and they've not taught their kids any skills or any of the things necessary to survive in an SHTF situation. So they're going to take their kids and they're going to go out in the woods, and their kids are going to die. That's the cold, harsh reality of it. I'm not sugarcoating this. If you aren't trained yourself and you're not training your kids, then you're going to watch your children die. Now, when I was bringing up my children, and I have a couple of small stepchildren right now, we get them every other weekend. Their father has custody of them. They don't know jack shit. Okay? Now, when I brought my kids up, I took them out all the time. And I taught them skills. I taught them how to forage. I taught them how to hunt. I taught them how to fish. I taught them how to start fires with a bow drill. I made my kids learn these skills so that they would be able to survive. They know how to do most everything they would need to do to survive. I've taught them how to grow gardens and all that kind of stuff. So my children that are older and grown, and that they have the skills. They may not use them. Well, I know some of my kids do. They still go out into the woods and practice and do stuff, but others, they don't. But they still have the practical skills. They may be rusty whenever something happens, but it will come back to them because they've done it before. Now I suggest everybody just keep practicing and honing these skills, not to stop. Okay, and now my current wife, she doesn't have any of these skills, and her kids don't have any of these skills because that's not how they were brought up. And so I've been teaching my wife, and my wife's coming along pretty good. She's learning. I bought her books to read, and then I take her out and I make her put the knowledge that she learns from the books to use. And I don't care if she uses the book. If she looks at the book to get instruction on how to do these things as she's learning, that's fine. Or if she asks me questions, I'll help her. I'll show her. I'll come over and I'll help her so that she can learn, but I still make her do it herself. Her kids, on the other hand, they don't really want to learn. Her kids are on medications for ADHD, hyperactive, hyper-explosive disorder, and all this other crap, which her ex-husband got them on all these meds, and I don't believe in them. I think they just need a firm hand taken to them. And when I got together with her, these kids, they ran wild. And since I've been with her, now when they come over for the weekend, they are respectful. They don't do half the stuff they did. Of course, they're still going to fight and do little stupid things. They're kids, but nowhere near as bad as they used to. And I try to teach them, but they don't pay attention. I have to pop them in the back of the head and say, hey, look, pay attention. You're going to need this someday. And I'm going to make you do this after I show you how to do it. So you better be paying attention how to do it. Her son's 12 and her little girl's 8. So they are more than old enough to know how to, or to learn to do these things. That's like all of my kids growing up from about 6 years old or so, I started 5, 6 years old. I started teaching them about guns, gun safety, the use of guns, what guns can do to a person, all that kind of stuff. And then after I taught them the basics of gun safety and taught them how to clean and break down a weapon and all that, then I took them out to the shooting range and gave them instruction and let them fire off rounds. I let them experience what it's like to actually fire guns. My kids have gotten pretty good at it. They can hit the target, probably 7 out of 10 times. I mean, that's not a bad ratio, really. But, they know how to field strip and clean a gun. They also know how to do a full breakdown and cleaning and repair of a gun. These are skills that you need to teach your children. I've taught my kids how to hunt with a recurve bow. That's what I use. I don't like the compound bows. I have breakdown recurve bow that I keep in my bug out bag. It's a hell of a lot easier to carry that than it is to carry a compound bow. I want to emphasize the fact that if you do not put your knowledge to actual physical test, you're not going to survive an SHTF. Okay? And, the thing is, it may not even be a huge SHTF. It could just be that you wind up homeless for a while, like I did. Or I grew up, I learned how to fight. I mean, plain and simple. I did everything from Greco-Roman wrestling to boxing, kickboxing, Jeet Kune Do, Muay Thai. I learned as much as possible. Okay, so self-defense with hand-to-hand combat is a must to learn. I have training combat knives. They're the rubberized knives, and I taught my kids with those how to do hand-to-hand combat in a knife fight. My son got really good at it. He can almost take me. But it's skills that they could possibly have to use in life, even without an SHTF situation. And I've taught my kids to stay cool under pressure in a bad situation. Don't lose your head. Stay calm. Think about what you're going to do and then follow through. Okay? Like when I was being mugged, I could have, totally freaked out, but I kept my head about me. I thought about what I needed to do, thought about where my weapons were. I grabbed my knife. I defended myself. It was a moment that if I would have panicked, could have gone really bad for me. So you got to learn how to keep your head when it comes to a bad situation. Now, I worked as a safety and security administrator at a plant, a cabinet factory before, and I had to deal with a lot of emergencies there where people got hurt, and we had a lot of injuries, and at one point we actually had a guy that committed suicide by chopping his own head off using a Holzma saw. He took all the safeties off of it, stuck his head in there and hit the buttons, and I had to go crawling around inside the machine and find his head. But I also damn near had to deliver a baby there. The baby was crowning when the paramedics finally showed up. But I took training for all that anyhow, so I already knew what I was doing. I was qualified in emergency childbirth, CPR, trauma, first aid, all that kind of stuff. I took classes. I kept working on it all the time to make sure that I didn't forget how to do things. I still work on things. And, if you don't put the knowledge to, if you don't put the knowledge to the test, how are you going to know that you're going to be able to do these things in a bad situation? And if you stop doing them, you're going to become rusty at them. And you may even forget how to do some of these things. So it's always good to refresh yourself on how to do these things. Go out and put them to the test. For those people that think they're going to bug out with kids, here's a suggestion for you. Take your bug out bags, take your kids, go into the woods for a weekend. I'm not talking to a state park or nothing like that. I'm talking go deep woods. Okay? See how it goes. Get back to me. Let me know how it went. Odds are your kids were not going to listen to you. They're going to screw stuff up. It's going to be a really bad time. I mean, I've taken my wife's kids to camping excursions at state parks where it's really not that bad. I mean, yeah, it's out in the country and in the wooded areas and all that, but it's still a relatively safe environment. Nothing too drastic. I mean, yeah, they got some bobcats and stuff like that, but some coyotes. But handling her kids at a state park on a camping trip is chore in itself. They don't want to listen. They want to run off. They want to do stuff they shouldn't do, and then they panic when they get a tick on them. And oh my God. Funny story on that one. We took not last summer, but the summer before, we took a camping trip to southern Illinois down to the Garden of the Gods. We stayed at a campground called Hell's Kitchen. And this place was so infested with ticks, it wasn't even funny. I mean, oh my God. Every time I turned around, we're plucking ticks off of us, And, we stripped her son down, and he had a tick on his testicles. And it was starting to burrow in. So I told him, look, we gotta take that off of there before he gets in there and you wind up getting an infection and wind up losing your junk. And he started bawling and crying. I go, look, we can do it real gentle. It's not going to hurt. He's screaming and crying. And I mean, it probably didn't help that I'm standing there with a pair of needle nose pliers, just clicking them together. But I asked him, I was like, okay, well, you got no choice about it. So which one of us you want to do it, me or your mom? And he's crying and crying, and I was like, you need to tell us which one's going to do it, or I'm going to do it. And then he goes, well, I want mommy to do it. So she took him up to the bathroom where she could see real good and everything, and she went to go to pull it off there, and he's screaming and like she was, And it only took a couple of seconds to get the tick off of there. I mean, we have the little tick tool that you put it on there and spin it, and it pulls the head and everything back out. But you would have thought that she was castrating him in there. It was funny. But see, on that same camping trip, her son got up in the middle of the night. Early morning, ass crack of dawn, while everybody else was still asleep, and he took a lighter and was trying to set the perimeter of the campground on fire. Yeah, my daughter just happened to have got up to use the restroom, and she's seen what he was doing. She stomped out the fire, and then she told me, and I went out and made sure that everything was put out, and now I kept my cool about it. I did not hit him or nothing like that. I did grab him by the shirt, pulled him into the tent, pushed him down onto the air mattress that we had for him, and told him, "Don't you even move. I don't want you to make a sound. Don't even look in my direction right now. You stay there and think about the fact that you could have just killed everybody out here." You know. We wound up taking him back to his dad's later that day. He tells his dad that I was beating on him and all this kind of stuff, and his dad just he starts throwing this bitch fit. Now, thing about her ex-husband, when me and her first got together, they were in the middle of a divorce. They weren't fully divorced yet. He told her to hand me the phone. He wanted to talk to me. And so she handed me the phone. I said, "Yeah." He started making all sorts of threats. "I'm going to kill you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to slit your throat. I'm going to feed you to the animals," and just all sorts of stuff. Okay, now, my only response to the man, this is all I said, was shut the fuck up and step up. That's it. And then I handed her back the phone. The following week, I got served with a restraining order. He went to the police and to the judge and everything and said that I was threatening him and all this kind of stuff. And so we went to court, and the judge asked me about the incident. I told her what all he had said on the phone and everything. And she asked me, "Well, what was your response?" And I told her, "Your Honor, do you really want me to use that language here?" She goes, "I want you to tell me exactly what you said to him on the phone." I go, "Okay, Your Honor, I told him to shut the fuck up and step up." That was it. And I handed my wife back the phone. She goes, "Well, he made all those threats and it didn't seem to bother you, and you actually invited it on. So I'm going to give him a 2-year restraining order against you." And I was like, "Oh my God, really?" It was funny as hell. Now, to this day, he's still scared to death of me. We went to pick up the kids a couple of months back, and he started yelling at my wife about something. And nobody yells at my wife, plain and simple. So I heard him starting to yell, so I undid my seatbelt and I got out of the car. And as soon as I got out of the car, he pushed the kids out of the way, got back in his car, and took off. I was like, wow. You can yell at a woman, but you can't stand up to a man. Wow. Grow a set. That's all I got to say about that, But, this video is running a bit long. Talk to y'all later. This has been Dan with We the People Prepping. If you like my content, hit the subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up. Ring the little bell. Let you know whenever I upload a new video. If you have any questions or comments or anything that you want to talk to me about, feel free to email me. My email is going to be in the description. And if you want to help support my channel, there are links in there as well for that. If not, hey, it's all good. But this has been Dan. Y'all have a good night. God bless. Bye.